This is James P. White from 95.7 Cruise FM, The Locker Room. Welcome to the Jedi Jimmy podcast. This is episode number 55, Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 8, the final episode of Season 3. What a great episode. It ended amazing. Really loved it. The name of this episode is actually called The Return. Bo-Katan and the other Mandalorians were trying to get away from the main area after Bo-Katan was able to cut through the wall with her dark saber. But even though Mando was captured, he was able to break free from the troopers that had him. Also, Grogu, it helped him while in that IG-12 suit thing. Grogu and Din were now on the hunt for Moff Gideon. Moff Gideon actually sends the TIE bombers and interceptors after the Mandalorian fleet. The Mando gets R5, that little red astromech, to hack into the base, to send him schematics and help him get through doors and shields and stuff. Now, Axe Wolves gets to the fleet, evacuates the main ship, and sends all the Mandalorians to the drop ships to head down to the planet to back up Bo-Katan. And he alone was actually running the defenses on the command ship from the attacking TIE defenders and TIE bombers. Now, Mando at this point had no weapons, so he actually fights through all these different troopers, stealing their weapons from them, their vibro knives, their blasters, their shields, all of it. It was an amazing battle. It's pretty cool how he was able to get through all of it, starting out with no weapons. Now, when R5 is actually tied in the base there, giving him control, there were these little mouse droids. They were kind of like patrol droids. They caught to their attention and alerted to him, and he was actually able to fire the jet boosters on his legs to fly away from where the mouse droids were. Now, the other Mandalorians that lived on the planet for years, they actually grew gardens under the surface, and they had fresh water and all that kind of stuff. That I thought was pretty cool by itself. Now, remember, throughout the entire series so far, we see that Moff Gideon was actually working on cloning, but he wasn't trying to clone the Emperor. He was cloning himself, and he was trying to the reason why he grabbed Grogu to start with was to infuse his clones with the Force. That, I thought, was kind of interesting. He wasn't trying to revive the Emperor, he was reviving himself. Now, Mando and Grogu fight Moff Gideon and the Praetorian Guard. The Praetorian Guard go after Grogu, and now the staff weapon that Moff Gideon uses is actually a Beskar electro staff, which is very similar to what the Praetorian Guard had, and the reason why they were able to, with these Beskar, these staffs, were able to kill Paz Vizsla by going through his Mandalorian armor is Beskar can pierce Beskar. So that's why it's actually more powerful. These electro staffs are stronger than a lightsaber because a lightsaber cannot penetrate Beskar. Now, Grogu throughout is protecting Mando, as well as Mando's protecting Grogu. It's kind of cool, and Grogu's use of the staff, being able to throw people and move people and jump and do all that stuff through the Force. It's getting pretty strong with the Force. He is. Now, the Praetorian Guards actually destroy the IG-12. Now, Bo-Katan joins the fight against Moff Gideon, and she is using the dark saber. But this part I thought was kind of weird. Moff Gideon actually destroys the dark saber, and I thought that was weird because when Din Djarin, or Mando, was talking to the armorer, he said that it was a higher quality Beskar. So how was Moff Gideon able to destroy the dark saber, which was made out of Beskar? I thought that was a little off, but who am I? Now, something that Moff Gideon said after he destroyed the dark saber was Mandalorians are weak when you get rid of their trinkets. And Bo-Katan's response was, Mandalorians are stronger together. And then Mando came back and helped with the fight. Now, Axe Wolves actually ends up crashing his cruiser into the base, and there's a huge explosion. And one thing I thought was kind of cool was Mando and Bo-Katan actually threw their bodies over Grogu to protect him from the explosion. But actually it was Grogu, with his use of the Force and being able to project like a Force shield, was able to protect them from the fire and the explosion as well. So now we go back to where all the Mandalorians are together, and Mando wanted to make Grogu his apprentice rather than a foundling. And in order to do that, because Grogu was too young to be able to say the creed, Din Djarin actually adopted Grogu to make him his apprentice. Now he is called Din Grogu. Now together, all the Mandalorians, they reignite the forge. And one thing that the armorer said, now that Grogu is his apprentice, that now he has to take him out into the universe and take him on several adventures for him to learn how to be a Mandalorian. Now Mando goes to the New Republic and says he'll be a bounty hunter working for the Republic, and as a piece by piece kind of deal. And he gets a house, or like a dwelling on Navarro, on the outskirts, for him and Grogu. That was pretty cool. They actually ended up rebuilding IG-11 and programmed him, and now he's the new Marshal of Navarro. The ending was kind of cheesy, like with you see Grogu and Din Djarin at their little house, and it kind of fades out into a little circle in the bottom. I thought that was kind of cheesy, but it ended so that you can actually, like, there's going to be more episodes for sure, but if they don't, it's still got a good ending. I thought that was pretty cool. Now, one thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to actually go through all the predictions I've made throughout the Mandalorian series, and show whether or not I got them right or wrong. So Mando, I said, would find the Mandalore. He did in episode 2. I said he'd see the Mythosaur, or I said we would see the Mythosaur, and that happened in episode 2 as well. Episode 2 and episode 7, I think it was, when the Mythosaur came back and actually attacked them as they were trying to find the base. And I said that he'd end up finding the living waters, and he did so in episode 2. I said Bo-Katan and Mando would fight over the dark saber. They didn't, but she ended up earning it. I said Mando would tame the mythosaur, like the first, like the first leader of the Mandalorians did. That didn't happen. I said Ahsoka would appear. That didn't happen. I said that the pirates would continue chasing Mando, and he did, and the pirates ended up getting destroyed. I said Elia Kane was working with Moff Gideon, and we did find out she was in episode 7. I said that we would see other characters from Rebels, but that didn't happen. And I said I knew that Mando would show up, or sorry, not Mando, Moff Gideon would show up, and he did in episode 7. I said Grand Admiral Thrawn would make an appearance. He didn't. I said Boba Fett would make an appearance, and he didn't. And I said the Mandalorians from the house, that worked with Gar Saxon of the House Vizsla, I said he would show up, and it was actually those troopers were the ones working with Moff Gideon. And now that Mando's season 3 is over, I'm actually going to take a break until the next big project comes out. Or if something huge comes out in the Star Wars universe, you're going to hear it from me first. And I do need to thank my sponsors, of course, Crier Media, where you can find my podcast and many others, and Fire for Effect Productions. You know, my buddy Army Chris, he taught me how to do this, and I love it. I look forward to seeing you next time, and may the Force be with you, always.